Moss won't grow on this Silverstone? All right, Silverstone Legacy. We got ourselves a 159, 249. I think the fast folks are going to be doing 48s, 49s, someplace in there. Not one of my strongest tracks, but I'm pretty happy with the time I got here. I do like this version of Silverstone better than the new one. The layout just is a little bit more fitting to my driving, but let's show you the fast lap. We'll go through how we did it, and then we'll come back here for some final thoughts. Here we go.
Your lap time was 152.37. Sector 3 is 0.48, slower than your best. Sector 1 is quick. Sector 2 time is okay. That lap was at 151.25. Sector 3 time is fast.
Alright, Silverstone Legacy in the Porsche Cup fixed setup. We haven't touched the setup, brake bias, or anything like that at all. We got ourselves a 151, 249. We're going to go through how we did that. Full throttle through this section here. And my first markers that I use is this red line in this corner marker here, and there is, I just noticed this little hitch in the paint that works as well. I kind of aim for like halfway between these two markers as my first braking point. We're going to get on the brakes pretty decently, and then we're going to start turning in. Kind of aim for fourth in this corner. And we're going to come all the way over on the right hand side here, get our right hand tires onto this curbing. And we're going to start feeding a little bit of throttle in as we come out. Probably could have gotten a little bit more because at the end of this corner I am not completely using up all the road, but the off track scares me over there, so I don't want to take it. So yeah, we're just going full throttle here for this portion, and this next these S's here are one of the parts that, well, probably the part that gives me the most problems. We're gonna brake kind of on the last bit of this first curb here, so we're going full throttle. We'll lift a little bit, and then halfway through we're gonna start braking, and my mental process is to get down to fourth and then come on over to this AstroTurf on the right here. And then we need to be accelerating for this portion. And we're just kind of feeding throttle as the grip allows. Like, we're not going full throttle yet here. And we're going to feed full throttle in. And I want to get on the brakes before I reach this next portion here. So we're on the brakes. Just kind of cruising a little bit. get onto the curbing, trying to keep this open as much as possible, and we're on the throttle again for a little bit. Get up to then we're on the brakes, and we're just gonna hold a little bit of pressure here so we can get down to third and keep tight on this for the exit of this corner. So we're gonna start feeding the throttle back in, and then pretty normal exit after that point. We'll throttle the rest of the way. The timing on that is really difficult for me, and my consistency is not quite there yet. Next braking point is going to be this corner marker here. So we're hitting the brakes, and I'm aiming for third in this corner here, where we're pretty heavy on the brakes, and then we're just going to kind of slowly ease off of them as we come around. We've hit third, still holding that little bit of pressure on the brakes. So we get to this curbing on the right here, and then we're going to start feeding the throttle back in. And then we can straighten out the wheel a little bit here and get full throttle. But we're going to have to ease off a little bit as we kind of come out, because we're going to need to turn a little bit more in, and then we can get back onto full throttle. And then our next braking point, there's going to be a white line after that little crest. So this is our next braking point here. I'm going to hit the brakes pretty good. And this corner, I kind of have to remind myself that I turn in, because there's another corner coming up that I want to turn in late. This one is a little bit early for the turn in, just to get the car pointing in the right direction. And then we're going to turn in more as we come around the rest of the way. We're keeping that little bit of brake pressure on. We're down in second. Then we're going to start feeding the throttle back in. And full throttle once we straighten out. We are going to have to lift pretty good here for this corner. And I think I tapped the brakes. Yeah, I tapped the brakes just a tiniest bit, but we're just basically lifting. We're back on the throttle. It's partial throttle. We're having to manage the grip with the throttle here. And then we're going to full throttle now. Lift a little bit because we're losing traction. Back on it. Yeah, I'm just modulating a bit there. And then we're going to be full throttle here. Then our next braking point is somewhere in here. You can go kind of towards the end of this for the braking point. That's kind of what I'm aiming for in my head. Yeah. The last kind of quarter of that access road. And we're just holding that brake pressure. And this is the corner where I said I want to turn in later than my brain wants me to. I think even if you turned in a little bit later, probably than I do here, it might be a little bit better. But we're just holding this brake pressure here to get our turn in. If you turn in early, you end up exiting pointing towards this, and it's just not great. So I just end up having to hold my corner a little bit longer there, and then we're on the throttle. And we're gonna have to, I lift a little bit for this curbing on the right hander here. Just, I don't know how the traction is gonna work on it, so I just lift a little bit. And then we are back full throttle once we get the car settled down. And it is full throttle through here. And then we're gonna lift a little bit for this this section here. Just a little bit of a lift. As we come out, we're gonna get back in it. As we straighten out the wheel. And then this section here is kind of where I use as my my braking marker here. The access ramp. Lots of access roads on this course, or different configurations too. Yeah, we're just holding our little bit of pressure as we're coming through here. Back on the throttle. This is another section that can be a bit tricky for me coming up here. Rest of the way on the throttle as we straighten the car out. And we're basically lifting right away and braking once we get the car straightened out. Downshift to second there. Let's hold that brake pressure as we're coming around. And then we're gonna start feeding the throttle back in as we turn. Lots of wheel. And then feed her back more throttle as we straighten out the wheel. And then almost right away again, we're gonna start braking here. So off the throttle, a little bit of brakes, keep the car turned, keep the grip on the front wheels. And then as we come around, we're gonna start feeding the throttle back in just little bits at a time. And it's just kind of, as you feel the grip going, you can feed the throttle. And then kind of as we start to come around to the exit, we can start feeding more and more throttle in as we straighten the wheel out. More and more throttle. And then from here on out, it's pretty much full throttle. Yeah, there we have it, a 151-249. So yeah, like I said, not one of my strongest tracks. Those S's really kind of are difficult for me. So hopefully during the races won't be too tough. Also, I think tire wear is going to come in quite a bit, especially for that first corner. So conserving tires and maybe not taking that full out every lap, just like holding back a little bit, might be useful. We'll see when we get along to the races. And if you want to watch along with those races, head on over to twitch.tv/thepiltdownman, and you can watch along when I do my attempts at this. And yeah, if you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. If you think I earned it, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Bye.